What we're talking about today is making visual controls, specifically icon buttons and picture boxes, very user interactive. So the way they look describes very much the way something is happening in the program. And I've actually talked about putting images behind controls pretty extensively in previous videos. The image list that I use to put images on icon buttons I talk about extensively in video 237, and the resource list I use to put images behind a picture box I talk about very extensively way back in video 32. But in order to get the image list for the icon buttons, you need to go over to the components section and drag over an image list. And once I drag that over, I gave it a more meaningful name in the image pane of IML for image list repeat. And then in order to add images to it, I go into the image collection editor and select the add and find an image I want to add and click on that and then click open. But of course I've already added the 6 images I want to use, and as I say, I described this process pretty extensively in video 237. And then for the picture box, I simply go up to the regular controls and drag over a picture box and size it to the correct size, of course. And then for the images of that, I click on the image ellipse and bring up the select resource box and do an import that imports images into the resources associated with this project. So if I do import, I can select an image and then press open, and that'll put it in this resource file, so I can then access it by name. And basically what this is a control that you have a player that plays audio or video, and you say, I want to start at this point in the video and then let it play a while and then select an endpoint in the video. And once I've done that, I want to repeat that portion of the video or that portion of the audio, probably because I'm studying it. Like I'm studying how to learn Hungarian, and I want to know how to say muchkahush in Hungarian, which means cat meat. So I'm replaying that section 4 or 5 times until I get that down. And then the C button basically clears this repeat. So instead of repeating over and over the same section, you then move on in the audio or the video. So if we look at the code behind for the A, basically what it says is if the image index for the image list is 1, which is the stop button, set it to 0 and then set the image in the picture box to the go arrow. And if it's not 1, that means it must be 0, so we clear everything out. And basically what that means is that we've set a start point, but then we've decided we don't want to do a repeat after all, so we click the button again. It's an alternative to clicking the clear. And then if we look at the code in the B button, this actually is a finite state automaton, a very simple one. And it's basically saying if the start image is 1, that means we haven't selected a start. So it's an invalid state to try and select an end when we haven't selected a start. So I pop up a message box that says there's no start behind. But if there is a start selected, And there's also the end isn't selected. In other words, the end is saying there's no endpoint selected. Then change the image in the end button to 2, which is the green. We've established a repeat section. And change the image in the picture box to the repeat arrows, which is the green double-headed arrows that says we're now repeating a section. So this is the valid part in here. But if neither one of these conditions is true, then we say a start and end is already defined, because the start is defined by this if and the end is defined by this if, so it means we already have a repeat section, and you can't create another repeat section by clicking on the B again. So this is really the finite state automaton control in the button B. And the button C, we basically say reset the start to 1, the start button to 1, which is the red. There's no repeat. Reset the image in the picture box to the no repeat arrows, and reset the endpoint to the red B, which is also the no repeat section defined. So this basically clears everything out when we press the C. So if we save this and compile and run it, say we're listening to study tape, and we get to a point where we want to start a repeat, we press A, and that changes the button to green and changes the arrow indicating we're in the middle of creating a repeat block. And then we get to the end of the block we want to repeat, we press B, and this causes it to jump back to the A point and shows a graphic that indicates we're in the middle of a repeat cycle going back and forth. And then once we've listened to that part enough, we press C, and it changes everything back to the red, indicating there's no repeat block. So it's a very good visual representation of what's going on with the process that I think is very intuitive for the user. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a lot, and I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe.